I didn't grow up with much, but I earned every inch of this home, including the pool. So when my new neighbor Karen called it too nice for your kind and stepped into my yard like she owned it, I knew this wasn't just rude. It was racist. Before we dive in, comment what country you're watching from. I'd love to know where you're tuning in. Now let me tell you what happened. I've been living in this house nearly a decade. Bought it after years of overtime, working jobs where folks barely looked you in the eye. Took me time, but I saved up. Every inch of this place was built with patience and hard work, especially the backyard. Poured the concrete, planted the hedges. That pool, not fancy, just clean and blue, was my piece. Then Karen moved in across the fence. Day one, she stood on her porch with her arms crossed, watching me skim leaves like I was doing something suspicious. Didn't wave, just stared. Day two, she walked her dog past my gate while I was tightening the solar cover. She stopped, glanced at the yard, and said, "Didn't expect to see a pool over here." I asked, "Why not?" She gave a thin smile. Just, you know, it's not the usual vibe for your kind of house. I swallowed hard. Let it go. But she didn't. 3 days later, I pulled into the driveway early from work and saw someone in the backyard. Thought maybe my nephew had dropped by. Instead, I walked through the gate and found Karen, barefoot, stretched out on my lounger in a pink bathing suit, sipping something from a wine glass. I froze. She didn't. "Oh," she said, sitting up slowly. "Didn't know you'd be home so early." I said, "You're in my yard." She shrugged. "It's just a pool. Don't be dramatic." "You didn't ask." "You people always act like someone's stealing from you. Relax. It's just water." I pointed at the gate. She stood, rolled her eyes, and grabbed her towel, my towel, from the chair. "You really ought to be thankful," she muttered. "A lot of folks wouldn't let your kind live in this neighborhood, let alone let you keep a pool." She left laughing. And that's when I knew this wasn't over. Not even close. The next morning, I replaced the gate latch with a locking one. It didn't matter. By Wednesday, Karen was back in my backyard, this time with a friend. 2 wine glasses. My lawn chair dragged halfway across the patio. They didn't even jump when I stepped outside. "Oh, hey," Karen called out like we were old friends. "Hope you don't mind. It's just so hot today." Her friend gave me a once-over and said, "Didn't know this was a rental." "It's not," I replied flatly. Karen grinned. "Relax. We're not hurting anything. Pools like this are meant to be shared. It's good for the community. You wouldn't want to be selfish, would you?" I didn't answer. I just opened the gate and stood there until they left. That night, I installed a second security camera, one she couldn't see. High up, wide angle, caught everything. By the end of the week, I had 4 videos. Karen sneaking in through the back gate. Karen laying out topless like it was a spa. Karen pouring alcohol into the pool like it was a cocktail mixer. In one clip, she's actually pointing at my porch and laughing with someone. If he doesn't like it, he can call the police. Bet they'd love to hear from his kind complaining. It burned, but I didn't say a word. I contacted the HOA, explained the trespassing, offered video proof. Their response? "That sounds like a personal dispute. We suggest resolving it neighbor to neighbor." Neighbor to neighbor. Right. The next time I saw Karen, she was walking her little dog past my driveway. She stopped and smirked. "Got a package from Amazon the other day. Thought it might be yours. It said chlorine on the box. You folks know how to use that stuff?" I didn't even look at her. I just said, "Keep off my property." She leaned closer. "Or what? You gonna call a protest?" She laughed, loud and long, and walked off. That night I sat by the pool. The water rippled under the porch light. Clean. Peaceful. Mine. And I knew it was time to stop asking her to respect the line. It was time to make her afraid to cross it. I didn't shout. I didn't threaten. I just started tweaking the formula. That weekend, I drained a third of the pool and added something new. Nothing toxic. Nothing illegal. Just a specialty clarifier I ordered online, the kind used in hotel pools to detect urine and foreign oils. It reacts to alcohol, to sunscreen, to certain lotions, and it stains. Not permanently, but enough to humiliate. A cloudy blue ring that clings to skin for hours. I added a harmless sulfur treatment too, low enough not to affect me, but just enough to reek when the water's disturbed. You wouldn't smell it sitting nearby. But jump in, it'd smell like boiled eggs and burnt rubber. I printed new signage, laminated, posted it beside the gate. Private property, pool under treatment, do not enter without consent. Then I waited. Karen didn't show for 2 days. I thought maybe she'd gotten bored, boff, or maybe the HOA told her something behind closed doors. Then Tuesday afternoon, I saw her through the upstairs window. She came through the back gate, still locked, but I could hear her using a key she must have made. She was alone this time, wearing a red bikini and carrying a Bluetooth speaker. She looked around, saw no one, and slid into the water like it was hers. She didn't notice the film across the surface. She didn't see the faint shimmer of blue in the sunlight. But the water noticed her. 5 minutes in, she started scratching her legs. 10 minutes, she climbed out and looked down. Blotchy red patches. A faint blue hue across her arms. She sniffed her arm, then gagged, her face twisted like she'd stepped in something dead. She grabbed her towel this time, and bolted through the gate. I didn't move from the kitchen window. I just smiled. Later that night, I reviewed the footage. It caught everything. The moment she noticed the smell, the moment she saw the stains. I saved the clip as KarenPoolEvac.mp4. But I wasn't done. Next time, she'd bring guests, and this time, I'd let the whole neighborhood find out. 3 days passed. No Karen, no wine glasses left out, no chairs moved. I almost thought she'd gotten the message. Then came Saturday afternoon. I was inside icing tea when I heard voices. Plural. I stepped quietly into the hallway and glanced through the upstairs window. There she was, Karen, in a giant sun hat with two other women. One carried a cooler, the other had a beach bag. All three strolled right through my locked back gate like it had her name on it. She had made copies. Again, they dropped their towels, kicked off their sandals, and waded right in, laughing like they'd booked a spa day. Karen had her speaker blaring some yacht club nonsense. One of them shouted, "Girl, you weren't kidding. This is nicer than the HOA pool." I didn't move. I didn't speak. The water would speak for me. 5 minutes in, one of them gasped. "What's that smell?" Karen waved her off. "Just chemicals. He's always dumping stuff in here. Probably why it's so clear." Then the itching started. One woman scratched at her neck. The other stared at her hands. Karen looked down at her thighs and froze. Blue, blotchy, smudged like marker across their skin. One screamed. Another jumped out. Karen shouted, "It's burning!" as they all scrambled, slipping on the wet deck, grabbing for towels, faces twisted in panic. I stayed inside. The cameras caught every second, both angles, one close-up, one wide. Karen kicked the gate open, wrapped in a towel stained sky blue, and yelled, "I'm suing him! That man put chemicals in the water!" But it was too late, because less than an hour later, I posted a short message on the neighborhood forum with one screenshot from the footage. 3 trespassers in the pool, gate wide open, under a sign that clearly read, "Private. Do not enter." The caption, "Please respect property lines. Water is under treatment. Enter at your own risk. Footage has been logged. No threats, no swearing, just facts." The next day, the HOA inbox exploded. Karen's tantrum turned into a public embarrassment. The women with her, one was a board member's sister, the other, a local real estate agent. And Karen, she was about to find out what it feels like to be unwelcome. Karen didn't show her face for 2 full days. On the third, her husband came by. First time I'd ever seen him. He stood at the end of my driveway looking tired, like a man who'd already had this fight 20 times inside his house. "She's not doing well," he said. I didn't answer. He nodded toward the backyard. "Look, I didn't know she was using the pool. That's not how I was raised. If she did something illegal, I get it. I'm just here to say, I'm sorry." I looked at him for a long second, then said, "Appreciate that. But what happens next? That's not up to me anymore." Because it wasn't. By then, the HOA had called an emergency session. 3 neighbors had submitted formal complaints. One of Karen's own pool guests, the real estate agent, had forwarded the security footage to the board chair with a note that simply read, "She's going to sink us all." The following Sunday, I got a letter on HOA letterhead. Mrs. Last name has been found in repeated violation of community trespassing and conduct standards. Effective immediately, her access to all shared spaces is suspended. Her gate privileges are revoked. A vote to remove her from the board is scheduled. I didn't celebrate, but I did do one small thing. I hosted a quiet barbecue for the block. Just ribs, iced tea, music low, clean towels stacked near the pool, a handmade sign that said, "Invitation only, respect earned." Halfway through the evening, someone asked if the footage was real. "Oh yeah," I said. "Every second." They shook their head. "Damn, you really flipped it on her, didn't you?" I smiled, then looked at the camera. If you've made it this far and you like seeing justice done the calm way, hit that like button and subscribe. I've got more stories to tell, and trust me, some folks just never learn. Across the street, Karen's house sat dark, curtains drawn, a for sale sign now leaning crooked in the front yard. Me, I topped off my tea, watched my guests laugh by the pool, and turned the porch light on, because this time the gate was locked from the inside. Then